Okay, so I am exhausted and I probably don't have a lot of space left on this device, but I just wanted to finish up the story about the Alameda smoke and vape shop. After I made the second video, there was this fight. This woman was really mad at this guy and she was accusing him of stealing from her. And the guy was more like just, yeah, you la la la, you la blah blah. And he wasn't being very physical, but she was being really physical. This is a video about Christianity. That's why. It's the only image of Jesus I could find. I have a beautiful shell crucifix that I got in Zihuatanejo, Mexico, but it's in a box somewhere, so I don't know where it is. Anyway, the fight went on for a while. And although there had been something kind of like that on MacArthur Boulevard recently, and I had sort of intervened at first to be supportive of the lady. And then when I told the guy, hey, why don't you just not, be in this restaurant because she clearly doesn't want you here. And he was like, well, I ordered food and she was disrespectful to me. And I was like, oh, so there are two sides. Okay, yeah, well, I know how it feels when somebody's disrespectful. And actually, he was making a YouTube video and he put me on his video. Is that the way I got this idea? Maybe. Anyway, it was interesting because the whole fight between them got resolved by they each had their own YouTube video, so they each got to tell their story, and that made it so they didn't have to have a physical altercation, which probably nobody wanted to have anyway. It was inside a Chinese restaurant and then outside that all this was happening. Jesus and Mary. But anyway, in that situation, because the woman was in a more defensive place, like, get away from me, you're harassing me. Get away from me, you're stalking me, you're harassing me. I felt like I could go up to her and say, hey, you can call 911 if that guy's really bothering you. And this is a restaurant full of people. There's so many people here right now. He's not going to come in and do anything. And, she was with a bunch of friends. But anyway, this time I was like, yeah, I'm not getting anywhere near that. Because that lady was like, she was like making all the gestures like she was going to start swinging her fists. So I was like, don't even. But there were people who were with her who were kind of rolling their eyes. And I looked at them like, yeah, it'd be great if you could tell your friend to stop, threatening physical violence here on the street. And eventually some guy who was either a brother or a friend or boyfriend took her arm and kind of led her away. And I smiled at him and he kind of nodded like, yep. And I said, well, thank you. Anyway, so after that, I noticed a young woman sitting in the passenger seat of her car. Looked like her car. I don't know. I say young. She could have been 32, looking 22. People think I look, well, some mean person on YouTube recently said, you look 40, but you talk like a 14-year-old, but I'm 51. And people usually age me at 44 or 45. When I was like 36, there's a guy in one of my CODA groups, that's Codependence Anonymous, which really is just anything anonymous because anybody can join CODA. You don't have to have an addict in your life. That's old school CODA. What we say in CODA is if you have problems with relationships, including your relationship with yourself. And doesn't that just cover just about everything? So anyway, there was a guy. Oh, I think he's one of my subscribers. Hi, hi, Jesus. Let me use my actual hand. Hi, Mr. K. So anyway, those were nice times, and I remember your shares, and I remember going out to pizza and Thai and talking. Anyway, but he thought I was like his age, which was 28, and I was 36. So that's like 8 years difference, and now I'm 51 and I look 45, so that's only 6 years difference. So I am aging. I'm still not accustomed to being 50. I had my boyfriend call me at 7 minutes after midnight on my 50th birthday, and I said, yeah, I'm just not adjusting to this 50 thing. And my mom had just gone psychotic. I'd become clear that that's what was happening on Thanksgiving, so I was not in a great place, and I was not ready to adjust to, there's the cat, to adjust to being 50. So he said, happy second 49th birthday. So that was really sweet. I think we always talk at 7 minutes to midnight on my birthday. Neither of us can remember what we were doing last time, but we know we went to skates. No, not skates. We went to a restaurant we don't remember the name of. Jack London Square on the water. Pretty fancy, pretty expensive. We split the cost. And he gave me some beautiful earrings, which might be diamonds. We're not sure. If so, they're like kind of big. But I don't know if I really want to wear glass in my ears. But although they're so pretty, they are either diamonds or something else, or something that looks like diamonds or something, and they're in a silver setting, and that's unusual because I have much smaller diamond earrings somewhere from someone, a couple pairs, one that was given to me by my grandmother, who's passed on, of course, now. In gold, and usually I see diamonds in a gold setting, but in a silver, that's particularly kind of radiant in a different way. It's a consistent radiance as opposed to the contrast. So this young woman, who might have been 32 or 22 or anywhere in between, um, it's part of me dealing with having more pain is that it makes me more likely to want to have lots of projects and also more talkative, which can be really good for people who are in the mood for that and can be hard on people who spend the most time with me and aren't in the mood and don't have space in their life for that. So anyway, but I find that when people I'm intimate with don't have a lot of time for me, I become more social with people out in the world, which is a bit paradoxical because I have social phobia. But anyway, I said to her, that was too intense. And she said, yeah, I'm just trying to get home. And I said, I'm waiting for an Uber or something. And she said, well, you're bold to wait for an Uber in this neighborhood. And I said, oh, you think it's dangerous? And she said, no, just chaotic. And I was like, yeah. And we were talking a little bit about the fight. And I said, at the end of the fight, she said, I just found Jesus. And I was thinking, oh, yeah, well then. And she said, yeah, but converts, it takes them a while to catch on. And I was like, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I said, well, I had a friend in college who was into Martin Luther and Protestantism. I didn't say that he considered himself a Kierkegaardian Christian because I didn't want to talk I mean, most people don't know who Kierkegaard is and why should they? I just had a special interest in continental philosophy in college. So that's mostly the classes I took were international literature and continental philosophy. And I almost majored in social science, but so my interests are kind of all over the map. Can you tell? Anyway, so it was like, quickly kind of established that we both relate to Christianity. And so I just said, well, I had a friend in college who was into Martin Luther and Protestantism, so I've had 30 years. I said, college for me was a long time ago. I've had 30 years to think about Jesus. And then I said, but I get mad too sometimes. And I told her the story behind the video here, which is called Anger Management Still a Struggle, about how I threw a box with some pretty much empty to-go containers of like salad and stuff out the window, even as I was saying to myself, okay, that was an interesting impulse, but don't throw the box out the window. That's stupid. Either it's going to land in the backyard and you're going to have to go back there and pick it up, or wow, it's starting to look like it's going to land on the, what do you call the roof? That's not the highest roof, but just the roof out the window on the first story, below the second story below the attic, which is sure enough where it landed, as you can see in my anger management still a struggle. I said, but I made a YouTube video out of it and I showed the viewers my anger management books. And since I didn't want to sound completely psychotic, like, well, if you've read those books, why are you still getting angry? I said, and I was like, so when we all finish reading these books, when I'm finished reading them, and if you read them, then our conversion will be complete and we won't be throwing things out the window anymore. And she laughed. And we said this and that to each other. Approximately that's what we said to each other. And I said, well, hey, if you want to see some weird videos made by a girl who's trying to figure out how to make videos, you can check me out on Jude Steiner Hall, the Candor channel. And she was like, Jude Steiner, and I said, Jude Steiner Hall, that's me, the Candor channel. And she's like, I'm going to write that down. And I have no idea if she's going to be able to find me, and I hope she doesn't have a frustrating experience of looking, because she seems sincere. And I said, nice meeting you, but I didn't get her name because my Uber arrived. But anyway, like I said, Jesus, my religiosity would be, I like the emotional symbolism. I don't know where I was saying this. I think maybe it was on one of my chat groups that I like to think that Jesus on the cross with his arms out. If you notice in the paintings, there's a thief on either side of him. And they're not crucified with their arms out. They're crucified with their arms above their heads, I think, or anyway, they're not crucified in the same position at all. And Jesus has his arms straight out wide. And I like to think that that means that even though obviously he's being crucified against his will, he does accept the crucifixion.